subscribe.
Hey everybody, Russell Envy here, back with another video about the metaverse known as Upland, and in this video we are talking about my 1-year anniversary playing Upland. I signed up for Upland on St. Patrick's Day 2021. I started in Fresno and I've grown my account. I'm happy with the progress and I am definitely ready for round 2. I have been making so much more money since a lot of the things in the game have changed. I can't wait to share everything with you about my 1-year journey. So let's dive into it. This is a tweet that I posted one day after my full 365 days in Upland. So here is my welcome email. I got this on March 17th, 2021 at 11:20 p.m. So that was March 17th, 2022 at 11:20. That was exactly my 1-year anniversary. I was up to celebrate it, but then I went to bed shortly after. So I posted the next day. Here is my welcome email that says, "Get a head start now and claim exclusive properties in Upland's beta version ahead of the big launch later in 2020. Even though I started 3 months, 17 days after the year 2020 came to an end, I still like to tell people I started in the beta version." That's what my email says. You all are my witnesses now. I'm going to continue to say that. So on March 18th, 2022, this is where my screenshot was with my status in the game. I'm a director with 4.5 million UPX. That's my complete net worth as far as total UPX, property, and visitor earnings collected. 202 properties with 21 collections. I think this is a very respectable first year in Upland. Here's my total Spark balance, 8.76 Spark. Now we know that Spark is worth $460, so times that by 8.76 Spark, and you can see that my Spark is worth $4,029.60. Compare that right over here to what I have in my balance is $4,595. So my Spark balance is almost worth more than my entire profile put together. That's very, very interesting. But this is exactly where I was one day after my first full 365 days. Now I'm going to take you on a little journey here about where I started, what cities I moved to and why, and then we're going to get into some of my favorite properties, the collections that I minted, one of my favorite areas in Chicago, and we're even going to talk about some of my assets. So let's get right into it. I started not in San Francisco. I started down here in Fresno, California. So this is 1016 Wren Avenue in Clovis, California. That's an expansion city of Fresno, by the way. So when you're looking at the map here, here's Fresno proper, and then Clovis was an addition. So when I started on St. Patrick's Day 2021, there was only 3 cities that you could start in. That's Fresno, San Francisco, and Manhattan. Now, everywhere that I read online, it said that San Francisco and Manhattan had been sold out, and Fresno is the only place you could start. So I took that advice. I started, and I wasn't even part of the main Fresno. I started in Clovis, California, which is pretty cool. The very first expansion city. Not a bad way to break into the game with one of the first, right? It's not the Genesis city, but it is the first expansion. That's pretty cool. I learned a lot of great stuff here in Fresno. I learned how to buy FSA property and flip it. I was able to flip like 10 or 12 properties, and I made over $10,000 or $10 in the game, and I went from visitor to Uplander because of Fresno, California. So I will always have that memory with Fresno, but I was able to also buy FSA property all over Fresno, and I had a decent treasure map. Now, that term really wasn't popular when I first started the game. People weren't talking too much about their treasure maps or calling it a web or a ring or anything like that. It was really more of a, how much property do you own at that point of the game. But I was starting to own quite a few properties in Fresno, and I learned how to treasure hunt here. And I also learned how to find all of my sends and save money when I was collecting sends. And that is a very big part of how I make money in this game, because when I treasure hunt, I don't care for what the prices are like while I'm trying to find the treasure, but I do pinch all of my pennies when I am trying to save on sends. So I learned how to do all of that here in Fresno, California. Really, when I look at it, Fresno taught me how to play the game Upland, and then I was able to take this knowledge and take it elsewhere. So I went from Fresno to San Francisco. Like I said, Manhattan was also an option, but I didn't want to spend money to get to San Francisco and then go to New York and maybe be disappointed with prices there or be disappointed with treasure hunting. So I came to San Francisco. It is the Genesis City. Everything that has started in the game has started in San Francisco, except for Cars. Cars is starting in Santa Clara, California. So the Genesis City did not see a car manufacturing plant first. Pretty interesting there. But I came to San Francisco, no properties, and I had like maybe 20,000 UPICs to my name. And I was able to compete for the exclusive treasure tier here. And I did pretty well. And you can see that now that where I am in the game, treasure hunting in San Francisco has been very, very successful for me. Everything you see, not just here in San Francisco, but everything you see in Oakland, Santa Clara, Fresno, Bakersfield, LA, Kansas, Chicago, every property that you see in this game has basically came from a little bit of flipping properties in Fresno and a little bit of treasure hunting to get me to San Francisco, and everything else has come from earning money treasure hunting in San Francisco. All of my balance now, here we go, here's my profile. I'm still at a director status, but I have 5 million UPICs. That is my net worth. I am halfway to an exec, so that's pretty cool. I have 220 properties with 21 collections, but now I'm sitting at 9.83 Spark. Really, until a few days from now, I will be at a full 10 Spark. I have 0.2 coming to me. As of right now, I'm sitting at 9.83. So even then, when we look at 460 times 9.83, my Spark balance is $4,521. That's basically what I was at in my screenshot on March 18th. So you can see that as I keep earning Spark, that number versus what I make or what I'm worth, my Spark is starting to catch me, which is a very interesting observation to say the least. But so this is where I am currently in the game, and that is all because I came to San Francisco and started treasure hunting here. And then I got really, really ridiculously good at treasure hunting. And then I made a video on YouTube, and now, I'm not taking credit for treasure hunting to be harder, but I do have a lot of people that hit me up on Discord and say, ever since your video came out, treasure hunting hasn't been the same. So there's probably something to say for that. While we're on the topic of treasure hunting, I've been doing something every time that I win a treasure, and I've been saving this for a special time, and I can't think of a more special time than my 1 year anniversary in the metaverse. So since June 18th of 2021, every single time that I win a treasure or a Spark box or something like that, any time that I have won UPICs or Spark, I have taken a screenshot because I only hunt on my phone. I've never hunted on a desktop. I think it's pointless. I think it's faster on a phone. There's many advantages to a phone versus a desktop. Keep looking on my YouTube channel. That video is coming very shortly. But I take screenshots on my phone. And what I've been doing is I've been stuffing those into a photo album here. So this is my Upland treasure hunting screenshots. And every time that I win a treasure, I add it to this album. So this has been since June 12th, 2021 to today, April 8th, 2022. And just look at what I've been able to win just by treasure hunting. I didn't have money to put into this game, but I did win $4.20. I did win, look at this, $20. That was my biggest jackpot at the time, $20. And now I really had, I thought I was cooking with gas at that point. Like, I thought I was hot stuff, let me tell you. But then I started winning 4,000, 6,000, and then, scrolling down here, not 20, because 20,000 was where I was at, but then I jumped from 20 to, look at this, 22,000. That was my biggest. And then a few days later, the biggest UPX prize I had was $54. That's insane. That's over half of $100 free that I got just by treasure hunting. I was addicted to treasure hunting at this point. And then I just started collecting more. And then I went from 54,000, I hit another 40,000, but then I jumped up to, where is it? I believe it's somewhere over here. While we're looking for this, I also have some other cool screenshots. Like, this was a glitch in the game one time where all of the sends were along the same perimeter here in San Francisco. So really, you could send to the cheapest property. Like, you could look for a 20 UPX property to send to, and then you could collect, like, let's say you needed to collect 6 sends. You could do that just by dropping your Block Explorer here, and you could collect those. And you basically paid 20 UPX to collect 6 sends. So if you divide 20 by 6, that's how much UPX you paid to collect each one of those sends, and that's a very small amount. So I have a lot of screenshots and videos and stuff like this that I have collected along the way. But just as I'm scrolling, stop the video, maybe add up a row here and then, but like, there's some good stuff. And then here's all my Spark. This was 0.05. This was a 10th. Then this is a 12th. Then you have a 9th here. Then I hit $6,000. Look, here's another 9th. So I mean, here's all my Spark, which is pretty cool. And then these right here are mostly my standard hunts. And look at this. This is when I was making my treasure hunting video, and I wanted to keep all of my piñatas up. So I was taking screenshots as well. Look at this. I had 4 of these screenshots that you're looking at here. They're all sitting here on this. And I even have this really cool thing that's zoomed in. I think that this is a pretty cool 1 year in the metaverse. I think that's pretty awesome. But so, like, look at all of this. And as we keep scrolling, we're going to see one for, this was during the love hunt. Look at this. I started earning, I love all of the UPX hunts. Like, look at this, $24, $25, $25. Look at this, $30, $30. Here's another $30. And then look at this one sitting right here. This was my biggest one to date for the longest time, $87.02. This was the biggest UPX that I hit up until a recent date. If we scroll down, my biggest earner is $150 or 150,000 UPX. This is the most that I have earned on a single treasure in Upland, and I couldn't be more proud, but I have a funny story to tell you about this. On this same day that I hit one of the biggest treasures in my life, it actually is the biggest treasure in my Upland metaverse life. The next rare treasure that was after this paid out something like 645,000 UPX or $645. And then last week, somebody hit the biggest treasure total that has ever hit the metaverse, and that is 1.6 million UPX. Somebody won 1.6 million UPX off of a 30-second treasure hunt. That is insane. But so this is something that I've been working on for quite a long time, which is just uploading these screenshots every time I win a treasure and sticking them into an album. But I think it's pretty awesome. So now is one of my favorite parts. I've been planning this video for a while, and I want to talk about some of my favorite properties. I do have favorite properties. I try not to get too attached, because I want to flip and sell and make more money as I can. I mean, I'm going to be very sad when I let go of my collections one day, because who knows, like 20 years from now, my collections on, Hollywood or Wilshire or in Chicago, maybe they're worth a stupid amount of money and I sold them for like $200. But I'm also trying to continue to play this game, and I want to make as much money as I can flipping property. So I do have a couple favorite properties, but everything else is up for sale. So let me show you what is not up for sale. And one of those is right here. This is 792 Elizabeth Street. In fact, I'm going to make sure that everybody knows this is not for sale, and let's just list it for the most money as possible. Listen, if you want to buy this property from me, go ahead. But the reason why this property is so special to me is that all of these treasure hunts that you're looking at on this screen, they have all come from starting at this property. See, I send my Block Explorer here when a treasure is about to begin, and I start at this property right here because I believe starting at a bigger property zooms you out farther from the game than when you click on this property. See how zoomed in I am right here on this property? Now, when I'm here, see how you can still see other properties around me? So that is just one treasure hunting technique that I have discovered over time, and I have a great treasure hunting video over on my YouTube channel. But the reason why 792 Elizabeth Street is one of my favorite properties is that it is responsible for all of these treasures that you see on screen. Now, another one of my favorite properties is over here in Outer Sunset, and it's actually down here on 39th Street. This is one of the first properties that I minted I bought secondhand when I came to San Francisco. Now, this city was sold out and you were not able to mint properties, but the floor, I got very lucky. There's properties over here that I bought, like this one was $14.50. That's pretty awesome. Look at this one. I think this one is a little bit cheaper. Nope, $14,884. I mean, almost the same amount of money. So I have, favorite properties here because these are very cheap for San Francisco. I thought by the time I got into the game, these properties were going to be worth $300, $400, $500, but you can still get properties today for as low as 30,000 epics. San Francisco is a great city, and it is why some of my favorite properties are here. But let's zoom out. Now, Los Angeles has all of my favorite properties. If I could put all of these on a list, I would say I would put Los Angeles as number one with all of my favorite listings. Almost every one of these properties is a favorite for one reason or another. Now, that is because when I zoom in here, this also ties to what I want to talk about next is my collections, but one of my favorite properties is right here, 6622 1/2 Hollywood Boulevard. So that is pretty cool, 6622 1/2 Hollywood Boulevard, but this is a rare property. When you click on this, you can see that this is a rare red collection property, and if I had that collection, this would be earning me $5.64 in the game, basically 5,000 epics every single month. That is pretty awesome, but I do have it in my City Pro right now, and it's earning me $3.38 a month, so I still think that is pretty awesome. I took the day off to mint in Los Angeles when South LA opened up, and the first place I went to was North Hollywood Boulevard or Hollywood Boulevard, and let me just show you something that still kind of makes me sick to this day. So this is a rare collection. I didn't have a rare collection even all the way up to when Los Angeles opened up. I didn't even have an exclusive until I bought it secondhand in Kansas, of all places. So really, when LA opened up, I wanted to strike gold here, and I wanted to get something, ridiculous. And I think that this Hollywood Boulevard is ridiculous. But let me just turn on this map here for a minute. Look how close I was to minting an ultra rare. I could have easily not gotten into Hollywood Boulevard, and I could have minted one of these down here, or I mean, look at any of these. These are all ultra rare properties, and you can tell by when you click on them, you see that they're in yellow, so that's ultra rare. I was so close to greatness, but other than an ultra rare, Los Angeles, I have every single collection or every single type of collection in the city other than an ultra rare. So I have the red rares, I have the orange exclusive, I have the purple limited, and I have the blue standard collections. I have one of everything except an ultra rare. So that's why Los Angeles, a lot of these properties are my favorites. I would say let's go on like a journey with a couple of them. So obviously Hollywood Boulevard, but my next one is over here in the Pacific Palisades. After I minted Hollywood Boulevard, I had a couple that I really wanted to go to, but I really wanted property on the shoreline. I think that this is going to be a big payoff when boats come into the game, or when, airplanes start flying over and stuff like that. I think that this is going to be an awesome, awesome property, but I was able to mint, I call this beach adjacent. It's not directly on the beach. It doesn't have a private walkway to a beach. You have to cross the highway, but it is beach adjacent. And, when these were being minted, all of these properties were going along, and I tried to mint a few of these over here. Luck turns out that I was able to get this property right here, which is pretty cool. So this is one of my favorites, and it's in the collection. It's in a purple Pacific Palisades collection, which is pretty cool. My Venice Beach, I love Venice Beach. I live on the west coast of the United States. Los Angeles is like a second home to me because I have concerts that I attend here, racing, theater, movie stuff, like literally acting, like you name it, I come here to do it. My day job also brings me to different parts of LA with what I do there. So I'm very familiar with a lot of the popular places, and I think that is why I did so well in Los Angeles. Now, another one of my favorite properties is actually down here on Van Nuys Boulevard, and it's right here. Now, I know it doesn't matter. A lot of people say it doesn't matter, but this is actually, if you look in the Google Street View, this that we're looking at is a Toyota dealership. We are currently sitting in a Toyota dealership, and you can actually see the address of this dealership sitting right here, 5855 Van Nuys Boulevard. So I have 5855 Van Nuys. So I was able to verify that the Toyota dealership does match the address that I have in the metaverse. But this is a car dealership that I have. It's also a pretty big property. I don't have many properties that are close to 1,000 UP2, and this one earns me a decent amount of money. So that is pretty cool for being a car dealership and earning me a lot of money. But another one here that I have is actually up in Studio City. These are some of my favorites because it is so close to Universal Studios Hollywood. So I have these three properties that are in this collection here, and this is called Studio City. That is what the collection is. So these are sitting here, and these are not crazy earners, if you will, but that's still not bad. 32 cents a month, and you add that up, that's almost $1 between these three. That's not a bad collection, and I'm always building these, but these are some of my favorite properties. Studio City, the Pacific Palisades because I'm on the shoreline, the car dealership in Van Nuys, but definitely my Hollywood Boulevard. Oh, and my Wilshire. This is another rare collection. So on the same day, I was able to mint 5 properties that were rare. So I had one on Hollywood Boulevard, and I had 4 on Wilshire. Those are all rare properties. And you just saw a couple minutes ago how close I was. Here's another one. I did try to mint some of these on Wilshire, and this would have been another ultra rare. I was so close to getting a couple ultra rare properties. Oh, it still makes me sick to this day, but still, Los Angeles, some great stuff. Now, I do want to show you a couple more favorite properties, and then we'll get into the next part of this video. So let me take you to Kansas. Of all places, Kansas. Now, I am one of those people that play the game, and I like to collect things that have my name in them. So I have two properties here in Kansas, and you can see this is called Russell Manor. As I zoom in, you can see that this map marker is on this property. This is Russell Manor, and then I do have a property on Russell Street, and this is one of my biggest earners in the game, but this is also called Russell Lands. So I thought that this was a pretty cool property to mint. I had to treasure hunt like crazy in San Francisco to earn this amount of UPIX, but look how much money it's earning me in the game. This is a wonderful property that I plan to keep for a while, as long as, property earnings are still a thing. Look at this monster over here. $330, and it earns you basically $5 in the game just for Kansas. Wow, that's insane. That is a pretty good deal. There's a lot of good deals still here in Kansas. Even though it's a tier 4 city, it's still great. Now, let me show you my last favorite properties, and these are here in Chicago. I did participate in the Chicago release. No collections here. Nothing I minted was a collection here. I was able to eventually mint some collection properties like Logan Square, South Shore, but none of the rares, none of the ultra rares, or I didn't even mint anything that was the purple limited. So until Los Angeles, I didn't have anything other than a blue standard collection, which is very interesting. But so when I came to Chicago, I went heavy into Wrigleyville. What I know about Chicago is that Wrigleyville is the heart of any baseball enthusiast. There's also the Chicago White Sox. Don't get me wrong, great team as well, but the Cubs are just well known. And I thought that Wrigleyville, for the Cubs, for the small property or the small community size that is in a large tier 1 city, I thought Wrigleyville was going to be a collection for sure. Turns out it's not. I also thought Old Town was going to be a collection. I also thought that like Garfield Park and United Center and stuff like those, I also thought those were going to be collections. Not even close. But I did get a couple in Logan Square. I got 3 there. I had 3 in South Shore eventually, so, all collection stuff. But Wrigleyville, these are definitely some of my favorite properties. And last but not least, a lot of my favorite properties are right here in Portage Park. Now, I have a video coming out in the future that is going to go into a lot of detail about Portage Park, but this is where I spend a lot of my time in the game. Now, let me tell you what I mean by that. When I'm actually interacting with the metaverse known as Upland, 90% of the time I'm in San Francisco. Turn this off here, and I'm treasure hunting. I know I'm in San Francisco right now. Let's just zoom in. This is usually my familiar view here. Is I'm looking at here, I'm trying to collect sends, and I'm getting ready to treasure hunt. If I am not treasure hunting, then I'm usually doing something with Spark, or I'm trying to flip properties, and that involves Chicago. I'm still making a decent profit off of flipping properties here in Chicago, looking for people that mislabel properties. Instead of putting it for $40,000 on sale, they put it on sale for $4,000. I have been able to get a couple properties sniping that way, but I don't have a bot or anything. I just search UPX land and look for deals. But when I'm not trying to mint secondhand properties here, all of my energy goes into Portage Park. Now, Portage Park is a node. This is something where almost every one of these properties is owned by somebody who is contributing back to the Portage Park development node. So we are huge in the sense of we have 14,000 properties in here, and we're almost at 1,500 buildings or 1,500 houses in Portage Park. Now, there was a Halloween competition when some of the building decorations, like the house decorations, came out. There was something where the community, the area that had the most of those house decorations on your property was going to win a private parade. And it turns out that Portage Park had the most houses that had the most of those decorations. So we won a special parade in our honor where you sent your block explorer to a property and then it took you along a tour around the route, which is really cool. There is piñatas all over the place, so we got free UPX. I've never had a community earn me specific UPX like Portage Park did. So we have a lot of cool, great things going for us, and that special parade really put us on the map. The last thing I want to say about Portage Park is that it was started by a lot of people that were new in the game. Now, there are well-known nodes in the game, and Portage Park is one of them because of that Halloween hunt and stuff like that. But you know, a lot of the people started, and we all started around the deli up here, and we started to expand, and we got closer to the park, and then we really minted everything out. And what's really cool is we even have a collection street that goes through our little node. So I do think that also adds some value to Portage Park. You know, you can have potentially one of the very first player ran collections or organizations with Milwaukee Avenue running through this, and you even have a limited collection, so that's pretty cool. So lots of stuff with Portage Park. All of my houses in Upland, this is a fun fact, everything that you see here in Portage Park, I have almost have a house on, and then everything else that I have a house is in San Francisco. I don't have any structures in Oakland, nothing in Fresno, nothing in Santa Clara. I have zero structures in LA. I have spent all of my Spark building up my resources in San Francisco. I do think that when people can rent out your properties or they want to park a car or something, you know, you might need to have a building. So I have been putting buildings in San Francisco, but I'm done now. And I'm either renting my Spark or I'm using my Spark to build up my houses in Portage Park. So that is, you know, one of my favorite properties. Like, not only favorite properties, but I would say my favorite area of Upland. I spend a lot of time here when I'm not treasure hunting in San Francisco. Fun fact, while I was making this video, I just happened to hit a rare treasure in riot mode for $29.61. So that's going to be another screenshot that goes into my Upland treasure. So that was pretty cool. I just hit that right while I was making the video, so I'm extremely happy. So the last thing that I want to go through is some of my assets. Now, I don't have a lot of assets like most people that you could find in the game, especially chief execs and stuff like that. But what I do have, I think, is pretty special to me. So here's all my properties, but these are all of my structures. Now, if you look at my profile, you'll see that I'm not lying. Every structure is either in Chicago, and you'll find it in it's either Wrigleyville or Portage Park, and then every other property is in San Francisco. I don't have a single building anywhere else in any other part of Upland. I mean, you can see it right here on my screen. Pause it, take a screenshot. Pause it, take a screenshot. Now, let's look at my block explorers. Now, this is really where I've put the most money into the game. I've never put money into the game to buy properties because I didn't know if I was ever going to make the money back flipping it. But I do think that block explorers over time, you know, these are going to be symbols of who you are in the game. And also, these are going to start having characteristics about them. Like this block explorer, when racing and cars come in, you know, this might have a really good advantage to turning, or it might have a lot of straightaway speed or something like that. So block explorers right now, they really only serve a purpose to show you who you are, but these are going to start having characteristics that can benefit you in the game. So I've been trying to buy as many of these as I can. So the first one I bought, I believe, is my UPX podcast. But then I know that I bought these three around the same time. The UPX podcast, Turtle, and this Teabag Block Explorer still gets me every single time. So I did buy these three, and then I got my comic book tour and the heart emoji and this blue torch and the little skelly and the passport. All of these right here were collected from tours or from doing a challenge or something along the lines. Like this blue torch came from the summer of 2021 games. That was a Spark hunt, and whoever did the best in it got these torches. So I did pretty well. I got a torch, but I was a pro and not a director, so I got the blue torch. But I also got this little skelly when the Halloween stuff dropped. That was pretty cool. And then around the holidays, I got this stuffed turkey. I think that's pretty cool. I got this turkey hat that is currently my block explorer in the game. I think he's a pretty cool dude, and I would say that if you saw a self-portrait of me, this is pretty accurate. But then I also got the chocolate heart. We're standing with Ukraine, obviously, and then I just traded a couple properties for this Detroit Trader Block Explorer. Now, like I was saying earlier, when cars come to the Upland metaverse, these Block Explorers are going to have traits to them, and I want to think that it makes sense that if you have a car-related Block Explorer, the trait of that Block Explorer is going to be beneficial in somehow. So I think that this right here, it's an engine Block Explorer. It's going to give me more speed, more power. It's going to give me better braking ability. You know, I'm hoping, I'm speculating at this point. But there's also helmets that were just given away, and I think the helmet is going to make you a better driver. It's going to let you turn corners better, and I think it's going to give you better visibility on the road and car control. So I do think that car-related Block Explorers, at least to what I know knowledge of now, I do think that they are going to be useful in the future. So I did trade for these, but really, you know, you can go back through history and figure out, like, I think I paid 10 or 15 bucks for this, maybe 20 bucks, you know, for these. These are all free. And then I think this was 20 bucks. This might be 40 bucks. And I think this was like 15 or something. So I didn't put a lot of money into the game as far as these Block Explorers go. And I'm actually pretty happy about that. Moving on from Block Explorers, we have my sad collection of NFL PA legits. I'm not a big football fan. I know of football. I've been to some games. I went to college with somebody who became a Super Bowl champion, I believe. So, you know, there's lots of great stuff with football, especially in Upland. But I gotta be honest, I didn't sign up to play Upland to get into football. I wanted to get into Upland to have this property trading experience and treasure hunting and racing cars and all this stuff. But, you know, NFL PA legits, these are legit things to have. I just don't have a very good collection of them. I would say my favorite is this Jimmy G, you know, because I am a 49ers fan. If I have to pick a team, the 49ers would be my team. So I grew up in that era where Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, you know, all those championships that they won, where they traded between them and the Cowboys. I mean, there was a lot of good stuff there. But so I have a few NFL legits. Here's all of my structure ornaments. So I did get Halloween related stuff. These were part of the original Portage Park winning that parade. These were on my properties, which were pretty cool. I think this structure ornament is pretty scary. But then I also have the Christmas stuff that came along, and I have the Ukraine flag, which is pretty cool. So here's some more of my assets, and then my Spirit legits. You know, these all came to me, and I think these are so cool. I have one of these, which is like a 12 of 200 minted or something like that. Like, I don't have anything really too crazy, but I do have a couple reds, which are, I think, legit in some way. But yeah, this has been a tour of all of my assets. This is another part of the game. I treasure hunt to bring in an income, and then I spend that income either in Los Angeles to build up my UPX per month, or I go to Chicago and I keep building my ridiculous map, and I hunt in San Francisco. So I'm doing everything in the game in these tier 1 cities. I am not even focusing on anywhere else. Like in the Midwest, I have a little bit of money in Kansas, but I haven't put anything into it, since all these tier 1s came out. I've done nothing in these cities, Cleveland, Tennessee, and New Orleans. I am trying to get into New York. I have found a couple of deals that I liked in Manhattan. I did like this one in Brooklyn until Brooklyn was demoted. This was right here on the water. It was pretty close, and it's not too far from, it is pretty far from the airport. But I also have this one here in the Bronx. These actually turned out to be pretty good. The Bronx was, I believe, a tier 3 city, and now it's a tier 2 city. So my property value on these went up. That's really good. But, I didn't participate in any of the city releases here, or else I probably would have some more. But not to worry. Queens is coming up, and if we look on the map, Queens is, I believe Queens is like right around here. It's like right around the airport, something along those lines. But Queens is coming up. I am going to participate in that city launch, so I can at least say I did one of the boroughs, respectively. But looking forward to the future, we can only speculate on what is going to happen, but I have Now, every city that you see here on the map, with the exception of Fresno and Bakersfield, every city here on the map has at least one football team. So New York has a couple, and we know that California has the Niners, and they have Los Angeles. But, we also have the Chiefs here. We have the Saints. We have Nashville. So we have the Titans. We have the Bears up here in Cleveland. We have the Browns. Go Brownies. I know there's a big Cleveland Brown supportage here in Upland, but you can see that, we still have great cities like Las Vegas. I have a great knowledge about Las Vegas. I used to live there. There's Phoenix, Arizona. That is going to be another city. We have 2 in Texas. We have Dallas and Houston. They both have football teams. We're going to have Minnesota and Green Bay. We're also going to have Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, Indianapolis. We're going to have Cincinnati. Go Bengals. We're going to have North Carolina. Hell, we're going to have 3 in Florida. We're going to have Jacksonville, Tampa, and Miami. So looking forward to the future of Upland. We kind of know what cities are coming out next. We just don't know the order. I do think that Miami is going to be a tier 1 city for sure. I do think that Dallas could be a tier 1 city because it is pretty big. Or I think that North Carolina is going to be like a tier 2. I think Atlanta. Now, Atlanta also, I believe, has an international airport. The airport here is very busy. So I think Atlanta has a very good shot at least being a tier 2 city, if not maybe even a tier 1. So, speculating going forward, I think Vegas could be a tier 2 easily. I wish it could be more, but it's definitely not going to be a tier 1 city. Phoenix, tier 3, tier 4 probably. Houston is probably going to be a tier 3, tier 4 as well. Jacksonville, Tampa, maybe Tom Brady can turn this into a tier 2. Who knows? But, looking forward, we have a lot of cities coming out in the metaverse that we currently see now. This has been my 1-year journey. Here's all the cities that we're currently at. I can't wait to show you my 2-year anniversary and see what other cities we've gone in, where my value is, what other treasures I've hit. Thank you for sticking by with me. If you're here at the end of this video, this has been, one of my favorite videos to make. Please give me a follow here on YouTube, a subscribe if you will. Also, over here on Twitter, if you partake in Twitter, I'm Russell ENVY, both on Twitter and in YouTube. You can also find me on Discord under Russell NV in the main Discord. Hit me up. We can talk any single time that you want. This has been my 1 year in Upland. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Until next time, keep playing.
Subscribe.